Hello, my name is Jeremy Shaha. I'm one of the physical science teachers at Central Kitsap Middle School this year. This video presentation is really meant to introduce myself to you, as well as provide a little more information about what your students will be learning in physical science class this year. I'm originally from Green Bay, Wisconsin. I've been living here on the Kitsap Peninsula for the last 15 years. I originally got my undergraduate degree or bachelor's degree in geology up at Michigan Technological University up in northern Michigan. I'd always been interested in teaching, but as I was getting close to receiving my bachelor's degree, I had some opportunities to actually work out in the real world as far as earth science is concerned. And one of those experiences was the chance to actually work for a geophysical exploration firm looking for oil down in the jungles of Guatemala, Peru, and Argentina. This is actually a picture of me with one of the drill crews down in the jungles of Guatemala. After about 3 years working for the geophysical exploration company, I decided it's time to return to the United States. I went back to school to get my master's degree in geology at the University of Wyoming. As part of that schooling, I actually had a research assistantship where we spent a month each summer working on a glacier up in Alaska. The uppermost picture on the right is actually the Bench Glacier, where we lived for a month each summer. The lowermost picture on the right is actually a picture of the base camp. And so while we're on the glacier, we actually drilled down through the glacier itself and installed instrumentation to monitor water levels in the glacier, which gave us a better idea of how water flowed through the glacier and how it impacted the movement, glacial movement seasonally. And so that was just a picture of me on the left drilling down through the glacier itself. After I finished my master's degree, I moved out here to Western Washington and spent 10 years working actually for an environmental consulting company. A lot of my work with the environmental consulting company included environmental cleanup at gas stations, things like that. Anytime there's a leak at a gas station, we would provide monitoring and cleanup of the contaminants. We also did a lot of work at monitoring contaminants at landfills. And I did quite a bit of work in Eastern Washington, providing oversight for the drilling of water supply wells for both municipalities and for agricultural purposes. This is actually a picture of a drill rig, which is drilling a water supply well for a vineyard in Eastern Washington. After 10 years doing that, I decided it's time to go back to school and complete my teaching certification. As part of that process, I spent a year student teaching here at Central Kitsap Middle School under the guidance of Cindy Taylor, who gave me a great idea of how to teach science at a middle school level. Once I finished my teacher certification, I actually spent a couple of years as a substitute teacher before taking over as one of the earth science teachers once Cindy Taylor retired a couple of years ago, and then now just taking on also teaching physical science at a 6th grade level. What are my goals in teaching physical science? First and foremost, it's to provide a safe and comfortable learning environment for all students. It's important that all students have an opportunity to learn in school. Therefore, it's important that I can provide an environment that they're comfortable in learning in, willing to take risks and learn new things and things like that. In addition, I think it's important to provide varied learning opportunities. We know very well now that all students learn in different ways, and so as a teacher, it's important that I provide different methods for students to learn. And so we'll do that a lot in our science class. Luckily, we have lab benches where students have the chance to go to lab benches quite a bit throughout the year and work in small groups with that. They'll also work in pairs and do think, pair, shares for discussions and brainstorming, things like that, and also have a chance to work individually looking through scientific articles and reading scientific articles. In addition, we focus heavily here at Central Kitsap Middle School in the science classes on the use of the scientific method. So as 6th graders, this is the time they become introduced to the scientific method. They'll learn how to ask good questions, wonder about certain phenomena we see in real life, learn to develop hypotheses, how to develop experiments to test those hypotheses, collect data, and finally write conclusions based on their data analysis. Also, based on my experience, my earth science experience, I think it's really important to pull real life applications back into the classroom so students realize that they're not just learning a bunch of book knowledge, they're learning stuff they can use in real life applications, kind of how energy is important in our lives, how we can transfer it or collect it, how matter can be combined through chemical and physical reactions to create much of the materials we use in our everyday lives. And finally, I think it's important that students realize that physical science impacts their everyday lives through things I just talked about regarding energy transfer and collection and the creation of materials that we can use to further advance our technology and things like that. How can you, or what is physical science? What will we be talking about in physical science class this year? There's really 4 main areas or topics we'll be covering. The first is energy. We'll be talking about the different types of energy, including thermal and light energy, kinetic and potential energy, things like that. And we'll talk about how energy can be transferred. We'll also talk about matter. What is matter? How can matter be combined in different ways through chemical and physical reactions to create much of what we use and need in our everyday lives? We'll then go on and talk about forces and interactions, how energy can be used to cause objects to move and interact. And finally, we'll finish up talking about waves and how energy is transferred through electromagnetic waves and sound waves and things like that. How can you stay informed what your student is learning in their physical science class? Really the best way, and I've spent a lot of time talking about this with the students already, is through the use of Google Classroom. I depend heavily on the use of Google Classroom and post all of our daily discussions or PowerPoint slides, assignments, videos we may watch in classroom. All of that's posted through Google Classroom. One, so if a student's absent, they don't fall behind and can catch up quickly and see what they missed. 2, if students are struggling with certain concepts we're talking about in class, they can review the notes and the slides from what we talked about in class to help them better understand and get additional help on what we've been talking about. There's really 2 ways you can access or see what your students are learning through Google Classroom. The first is to ask the students to show you their Google Classroom page, and so you can see exactly what we're learning in class. The other way is through a parent-guardian email summary. You can sign up at get more information from this below website, and if you let me know that you're interested, I'll add your email, and you can choose to get either weekly or daily updates on what the students are learning in class. It will focus on what topics we're talking about and what assignments are due. It will not give you their grades. PowerSchool is still the best way to get their grades, but it's really meant to be a tool to help you understand what students are learning in class and if they have assignments coming up. In addition, I'll be continuing a professional student program where I acknowledge students' performances on non-academic things, such as making sure they complete all of their work on time, they're in class on time, and they don't have any unexcused tardies, they don't have any discipline for referrals, things like that. So it's just a way to recognize those students who are putting in the effort at school itself. And based on, it's a monthly reward, and based on the number of rewards they receive throughout the year, they can become eligible for an end of the year celebration as well. If you have any questions or concerns throughout the year, please feel free to either talk to me first at the open house on Thursday night, or feel free to email me. Email is usually the best way to get a hold of me at the site email provided on the screen. You can also try giving me a call at school as well. I'm looking forward to a great year. If you have any questions throughout the year, feel free to let me know, and I appreciate it. Thank you very much.